Woo! Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So that was that was an event. Okay, okay. Um Sean O'Malley, dude, he's kind of a scumbag, bro. Like, and I don't mean that in like a negative way, but literally, Sterling was on the cusp. For some people, he was already the bantamweight goat. Sean, in his opinion, considered Sterling the bantamweight goat. Depending on how you ask, he was already on the cusp of, greatest 135er in the UFC. He was, always doubted in pretty much all of his matchups. Not all of his matchups, but had always so much going against him. A victory over Sean tonight would have been so huge for him and his legacy. And Sean O'Malley just finishes him round two, man. Oh man, dude. I with the prediction videos, I kind of get caught up in trying to be right. And at the end of the day, this is MMA we're talking about, right? This is the sport that we love. And so I just kind of realized to just enjoy the sport as it is while still giving my predictions and, doing what I can to be right. No harm done if I'm wrong. So as far as Sterling being in the GOAT category, um, I felt like if he finished Sean O'Malley, he would have definitely been on, like, easily for sure 100% at least one side of the coin flip between him and Dominic Cruz. And depending on who you ask, it could still very much be the case. Um, tied, same number of defenses. Um, Sterling, most consecutive defenses. But I guess that doesn't matter. Like, that conversation cannot matter anymore. I mean, and I'm not saying it. I mean, yeah, as it stands as of right now, Cruz or Sterling is between those two for bantamweight goat. It's definitely less of an argument now for Sterling, at least compared to if he beat Sean. Sean O'Malley, man, set up that right hand perfectly. He wanted that the entire first round. Pretty close first round, in all honesty. I kind of lean Sterling for close round. Why didn't Sterling grapple, dude? Why didn't Sterling grapple enough? Like, he shot for one takedown in the first round, and yeah, the second round ended pretty quickly, so he didn't really get a chance to get started. But man, man, oh man, yeah, as long as it was on the feet, it was going to be Sean O'Malley's game. Like, I don't think, not I don't think, but the way that you saw, Sterling was not really being too hard of a puzzle to figure out. Really, I mean, it was a close first round, and neither Sterling or O'Malley were that didn't have that much output. But based on how we saw that go, yeah, as long as it was on the feet, Sterling probably wasn't going to win that. So a little surprised that Sterling didn't grapple much. I still think that Sterling's grappling would have been a challenge for O'Malley, but O'Malley did what he was supposed to do, kept it on the feet, got him out of there early, and it was a pretty good. It was pretty great. I gotta respect it, dude, and especially because it was a great ending to a pretty lackluster card, a pretty decision machine of a card. There are definitely some good fights for sure, and some good highlights. But as far as closing out the summer of pay per views, this was kind of the weaker one. But with that said, I guess let's just go into the rest of the card. Um, Weili Zhang dominated, incredible performance. Surprised that we didn't get a finish, but still pretty much dominated to pretty much no surprise. Ian Gary also dominated Neil Magny. Also surprised that one went the distance. I feel like Gary probably could have unloaded on Neil Magny and got the finish. I feel like that would have been a better statement for him as an up and coming prospect than it did, but still dominated Neil Magny. Let's talk about the last two cards of the not, the fights on the main card. We had some funky scorecards in the first two fights of the main card. Marlon Vera defeated Pedro Munoz and had two 30-27 scores. Okay. That was a very close fight. Chito Vera versus Pedro Munoz was a very close fight. First round, honestly, upon watching it live, and the event just ended, not 5 minutes ago, but after seeing that fight, just seeing it, I'm like, ooh, I don't know who won that first round. Maybe Pedro Munoz won it with output. Chito probably won that first round because of damage. But that second round, I do think that Pedro Munoz comfortably took with output. Vera did not accomplish much damage in the second round. Definitely took that third round for sure. And you know what? Chito Vera won. I can't be too mad because once again, I like Chito and I wanted him to win. I bet on Munoz. And kind of like I said, I shouldn't get too caught up in who wins or how much that I'm right because this is a sport that we love. But And also I can't really talk because the fighter that I liked more won anyways. But Pedro Munoz is a dog. All right, he is a dog. Um, and so yeah, Pedros didn't really incorporate the game plan that I expected him to. A part of that was definitely, or not definitely, was likely due to the fact that we had a short notice fight and not a full camp, so probably didn't want to wrestle as much. And, didn't really get to disrupt Veer's flow in that third round. Like it took a long time for Veer to finally download information. Like, hey, this jab's working. I'm just gonna keep piecing them up. But overall, pretty good fight. One of the better fights of the main card. And then Mario Batista versus Damon Blackshear. I low key scored that fight 29-28 Blackshear. Low key. Let's see. Third round definitely Batista. I would have to say, was it the first round? I can't even. I can't remember. It's been a long night. It's been a long night. Lots of decisions. Um, Goldfish memory. I got all that. It was a pretty close fight. I don't think that a 29-28 scorecard for Batista is bad, but a 30-27 for Batista is kind of bad. I don't see an argument. I see. I would, even though I would lean Damon Blackshear winning that fight, but I still see a 29-28 Batista a better argument for that over a 30-27 Batista, and I bet on Batista to win. I low key think that Blackshear could have taken it. Um, I mean, honestly, I don't really have. I just, just going back to the main event. Wow, what a moment! Alexander Volkanovski, in his prediction video, brought up something very interesting that he said, and he was, I don't remember if he necessarily like picked Sean O'Malley to win it, but he said like, "Hey, man, like sometimes life just sets up a story. You know, sometimes life just sets up a story for a fighter to fulfill." And he was, implying that, hey, this could be UFC 292 would be Sean O'Malley's story, right? Um, that's pretty interesting. It seemed that it felt like tonight was that. I think about UFC 281 with Alex Pereira versus Aldis, first time in MMA, and how it was a crazy story. How I like, everyone's saying, this is, Izzy's redemption story, and it turns out it was really just, just, a better story for Pereira when he took the belt from Izzy, right? And then you could say, hey, man, like this is just the next part of Izzy's story where he falls and then he rises again, takes the belt back. And so when the knockout happened, and so quickly too, I was just really thinking to myself like, hey, maybe Volk was cooking, man. Maybe Volk was cooking. This just might have, this is just Sterling is just a chapter in the Suga show now. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. I wasn't a big Sterling fan. Like I said, I was pretty neutral in this matchup. It didn't matter to me who won between Sterling and O'Malley, but I couldn't help but feel a little gutted for him, man. Like kind of like I said at the beginning, like a lot of the fans were against him, and I understand why. He's cringy, Oscar winner and all that. And I understand why, but I couldn't help but feel gutted, when he was just so close, right? If he was so close to, he could finally get his first definitive defense, with no asterisks, and then still lost to O'Malley. Because depending on who you ask, Sterling is either the bantamweight goat or he didn't really have like any definitive defense. Close fight with Jan, close fight with Cejudo, one arm Dillashaw, right? And then but he still beat those guys. And if he beat Sean O'Malley, he might have been probably for me the bantamweight goat. And then yeah, wow. I honestly, it felt surreal. And yeah, like I said, I think we could just be witnessing Sean O'Malley's story now. We could just be witnessing it, and I feel like he's definitely going to have a lot of momentum going into his future defenses. This might very well be the Sugar Show for a while, and life just might be on his side for now until other factors play into other fighters, and then the sport moves as usual. Now, Marab or Cheeto, all right, or Sandhagen. Who's going to face O'Malley next? I guess I shouldn't really give my prediction because that's for another day. Um, but it's very interesting. Life played out. You know what I mean? I thought that Munoz was going to win against Vera, and I thought Sterling was going to win against O'Malley. Both those guys prevailed. The underdogs on my scorecard prevailed, or not scorecard, predictions prevailed, and now we could set up a potential meeting in the future to complete that chapter. Really, really crazy sport that we love, huh? Um, It probably looks like I got humbled because in my thumbnail for my prediction video, I was like, oh yeah, Sean O'Malley's getting humbled. Um, yeah, just overall can't hate on it because great moments, man. Hard moments for some, but great moments for others. This should be a pretty interesting reign, however long it lasts. And maybe Volk was onto something. This just might be Sean O'Malley's story, and we might be hearing from him for a while. The Sugar Show is on. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for watching. Wow. What did you think about the card? What your picks did you get right? Which picks did you get wrong? What did you think about the knockout? What did you think about the main event? What did you think about all the fights? Let me know down below. And yeah, I'll catch you later.